The partnership between Conscious Companies and Mail and Guardian stands as a testament to a shared vision for greater good and the impact of partnership. The chairman for the Mail and Guardian is a robust supporter of conscious leadership and believes that the responsibility of the media cannot be understated, and that ethical behavior, truth, and honesty are the pillars of a trustworthy media industry. Please put your hands together for Hoosain Karjieker.
Thank you very much, Program Director. It is an absolute honor to speak to all of you here at the Conscious Leadership Summit, because conscious leadership begins with conscious citizens, and that is exactly the group that all of you represent here today. And conscious citizens are shaped by the information they consume, the questions they ask, and the courage they develop to confront uncomfortable truths. And that is where the role of journalism becomes profoundly important. So to Brenda, Slavin, and the team, whilst it hurt me earlier to hear Prof. Mervyn King speak so glowingly about Brenda's illustrious career at our competitor, the Sunday Times, it's fine. It is a genuine privilege, and I do not use that word lightly, to stand before a room of leaders who have chosen deliberately and against the grain to lead not just with competence, but with conscience. But I do want to begin with a confession. There was a time not so long ago when I believed that running a media company was simply about publishing stories that mattered, keeping the lights on, and staying ahead of the next deadline. Get the journalism right, I told myself, and the rest will follow. Well, I was wrong. Not about the journalism, but about the comforting illusion that truth alone is enough. Truth, it turns out, does not defend itself. It needs stewardship. It needs leaders who are willing to protect it, to fund it, and there really is a lack of funding for journalism at the moment, and those who fight for it, especially when the market, the algorithms, and the political winds are all howling in the opposite direction. And that is what conscious leadership means to me. It's not a badge. It's not a slogan on a lanyard. It is not a program you unveil at an off-site retreat and forget about it by Monday. It is a daily, sometimes hourly, act of moral attention. Attention to the weight of your power, the clarity of your purpose, and the real lived consequences of your decisions on the people and the communities that you serve. At the Mail and Guardian, we carry a masthead that has stood for independent journalism in Southern Africa for more than 4 decades. And let me tell you what that masthead has weathered. It has survived apartheid. It survived political intimidation, advertising boycotts, legal threats, and the near collapse of the print industry. It did not survive by luck, and it did not survive by playing it safe. It survived because at every critical juncture, someone in a position of leadership made the harder choice, the choice to publish when silence would have been safer, the choice to investigate when looking away would have been easier, and the choice to hold power to account when doing so came at an enormous personal and institutional cost. I carry that legacy with me all the time, but I want to tell you something about legacy that I've learned the hard way. Legacy is not a trophy you place on a shelf and admire. It is a flame, and flames require tending. The moment you become complacent, the moment you lose your sense of purpose, that flame will go out. And no amount of rebranding or restructuring or strategic pivoting will reignite it. So what does it mean to lead consciously? And let me share 3 principles that guide my leadership. Principles I believe speak far beyond the walls of any newsroom. Firstly, lead with radical transparency. In media, credibility is not an asset, it's an oxygen. The moment we lose trust, the trust of our readers, we do not merely lose market share, but we lose our reason for existing. But here's the thing. This is just as true for every organization in this room. Your employees, your customers, your communities, they all have finely tuned instincts. They can sense when you are being evasive. They can feel it in their bones when the boardroom narrative does not match the reality on the ground. Conscious leaders close that gap. They do not spin. They don't curate perceptions. They tell the truth, the whole unvarnished and sometimes bruising truth, and they build cultures where others feel safe to do the same. The second one is resist the tyranny of short-termism. We are living through an era that worships speed, quick wins, viral moments, quarterly returns, and the all-time favorite, instant gratification. But let me tell you what I observed over decades in this industry of ours. The most meaningful work, the work that genuinely transforms societies and sustains organizations across generations, is slow, and it is unglamorous. It is often invisible to the people applauding the quarterly results. At the Mail and Guardian, some of our most consequential investigations have taken months and sometimes even years. They did not trend on social media. They did not generate a single rand in instant revenue. But they changed policy. They freed the wrongly accused. They shone a light in the corner of power that had gone unexamined for far too long. Conscious leadership is the courage to invest in what matters, not merely in what is measurable. Third one is, we must center the voices that are too often silenced. And let me be direct about this. Africa does not suffer from a shortage of stories. It never has. What it suffers from is a chronic shortage of platforms willing to tell those stories with the dignity, nuance, and the depth that they deserve. Conscious leadership demands that we interrogate our own blind spots constantly and unflinchingly. We need to question whose voices are absent from our newsrooms and our boardrooms and from our strategy documents. Whose lived experiences are we overlooking because it does not fit neatly into our existing frameworks or our comfort zones? The moment we stop asking these questions, we stop leading and we start merely managing. And management without conscience is just administration. So I want to leave you one final thought, and it is the one I feel most strongly about. Conscious leadership is not and can never be a solo act. It is a collective practice. It demands networks of trust, communities of mutual accountability, and perhaps most importantly, the humility to look around this room and acknowledge that none of us, not one, has all the answers. The challenges facing our continent, like staggering inequality, the climate crisis, democratic backsliding, the erosion of public trust in every institution that once held societies together, these are too vast and too urgent for any single leader or any single organization to confront alone. But together as a community of leaders who have made the deliberate countercultural choice to lead with awareness and with integrity and with fierce, unapologetic purpose, we have the capacity to bend the arc. So let's stop asking whether we can afford to lead consciously. The real question, and the only question that matters, is whether we can afford not to. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Hoosain. Thank you. Thank you, Hoosain, very much. And thank you to you for being part of that connected act and for the role that Mail and Guardian plays in helping us to remain connected.